But let's give some thoughts on the games.
Look at his determination. Look at his belly.
Okay.
Look at his nose.
Thoughts on the game.
Look at those slugs. Sargs.
Thoughts on the game.
Go ahead.
You don't have any?
You first.
I really was blown away by this game. I'll be honest and say that I did not beat Donkey Kong Country Returns, the Wii version.
I did.
Jake did, but I think this one took it to a whole nother level. First of all, I like the Viking enemies far more than the Tiki enemies. I feel like they fit the Donkey Kong world and paid more homage to the Kremlings than these weird, happy drum creature things. I don't know. So that was bonus number one. Bonus number two is I thought the level variety was great. I thought it had a really nice difficulty standard. There were some very difficult parts, and all of it required such finesse. I love that the game is so demanding of your physical coordination that it doesn't pull any punches. I mean, there's a couple in some of the K stages and stuff like that where it's unsuspecting drops or whatnot. But for the most part, it's just you relying on your coordination to persevere through these levels, and I thought that was really, really cool. I thought the boss battles were all exceptional. The underwater ones, some could argue that you don't have total control over, but I thought they ramped up so nicely. If you look at that first boss battle with the walrus, you don't even have an idea of where they're gonna go, and they kind of take you crazy places. All the way from the owl in World 2 to the polar bear in World 5 to the final boss in World 6. The baboons even in World 3 were unique. I really love the boss battles here. They were classic boss battles done very well. The minecart stages and the rocket barrel stages are some of my favorites, along with the artsy stages, the ones where they change everything up color scheme-wise. Some really great music, some nice callbacks to the Donkey Kong Country games on Super Nintendo, which is where I first grew to know DK. And so I thought all in all, it kind of came together as a package that felt very retro as in old, not retro as in the company that made this game, but at the same time a new flair. There were so many graphical surprises as you went, into the levels, into the screen, or you came out towards the screen, or they changed the perspective on you, or they did really cool things in the backgrounds. It kind of took things to another level now that they have full HD on a Nintendo console. Things that Donkey Kong Country Returns sort of hinted at, they were able to fully explore and allow you to fully experience here in Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. It's one of my favorite platformers of all time. I think it's probably a better game overall than Super Mario 3D World, although I like a lot about Mario 3D World. I like the way it controls. I like the way both these games control, and it's interesting that Mario and Donkey Kong control so differently, even though they're both platformers. If you play like New Super Mario Bros. Wii U and Donkey Kong Country, for Wii U, they feel absolutely different in their control, and I think that helps them exist as separate games. Now, I don't think this game is going to sell very well at all. I'm very disappointed by that, because I think it's a showpiece game. People think, ooh, platformers, side-scrolling, blah, but there is more innovation and crazy new mechanics here than most, quote, 3D full-blown games have. I really appreciated the humor and the just what I would call like the joy that they packed into this game. You can tell they had fun making it. You can tell they're big fans of the series, and all the different colors and all the different schemes that they had going on were really exciting. I also thought the animation system was great. The characters themselves looked fantastic. It's true HD, and in some ways gives a cleaner look than, quote, realism games. You have, there's that uncanny valley where you can't really tell, or rather you can tell the difference between a PS4, Xbox One human and a real-life human. Here, we don't have crazy monkeys in a crazy Arctic island, so you're able to kind of fully fall into the world and have that suspension of disbelief and just enjoy it, and I really loved it so much. I would give this game like a 9 or 9.5 out of 10.
There's presents.
We have one more present to unbox here.
Well, this is the one that he never got to open, I think, on his birthday.
Oh, what'd they give him?
Right, I think. Bananas?
Nobody knows? It's the final mysterious relic. Okay, so if you collect all 7 relics, you access a secret world. But anyways, I'm eager to see what they do with Donkey Kong from here. This game wasn't iterated on very quickly. Although Donkey Kong Country Returns and DK Tropical Freeze have many similarities, they came out years apart, 3 years apart, which is a big span in terms of gaming sequels. So it'll be interesting to see if they do a third one, another on Wii U, if they move Donkey Kong into a different genre, back to the 3D platformer, sort of like Mario. I think that could work out fantastic. I think there's almost more intrigue in the DK world than the Mushroom Kingdom at times, and I would love to see another game that explored Donkey Kong's Country. I don't know if Retro is going to do it. I know they're working on another project, probably Metroid or something else, not DK, I would imagine. But I would love to see another one of these when the time is right. Don't bring out a level pack. Because I would rather be blown away, and part of the stuff that blew me away here was the fact that they took time to really come up with some great ideas and almost perfect level structure. You know, if this was just another platformer, it would feel not as great, but because it's so wonderfully executed, it stands with Mario as another standout title for Wii U, and now Wii U, without a doubt, has the most awesome exclusives of any of the current 3 systems. So, thank you guys for joining us in this series. It was so fun to do a co-op. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And I loved every second of it. Jake, I'm sorry for hogging the mic here. Give us your quick take.
All I know is co-op was ridiculous. It had so many highs and lows. It was just crazy. Like, it was so difficult, but so rewarding at times, and created so many ridiculous situations of like epic saves and jumps and frustrations. And
well, I think to a passerby, it might look like co-ops. Oh, it's way easier because if you die, you're cool. But at the same time, like, it's made it so much harder. The screen pushes and pulls towards one person. There's so many platforms and vines and things that require exact timing, and we're the kind of people who don't want to just hop on each other's back. This isn't, girlfriend mode. We wanted to do the levels together, which made it so much harder.
I'm not your girlfriend.
So what would you rate it as someone that played Donkey Kong Country on Wii?
Returns, you mean?
Yeah.
I don't really remember that game. I mean, in that game I got to do the rocket barrel and minecart levels. But I think, I guess this might have been better. It might just because it's a more recent memory, but it's definitely good.
So if you had to give it a numerical score, what would you put it at?
16.
No, 1 to 10, Jake.
Oh, 7.
Are you serious?
Maybe it's because I was taking the back seat.
Yeah, I guess that's hard also. Even though co-op, we did try to experience it both equally. Some of my favorite stages in the game were the minecart stages and the rocket barrel stages, and you really didn't play a part in those.
And the Ramby stages.
Also, I think there's a little bit more consistency with Donkey Kong and knowing his limitations than Dixie. Even though it's great to have that hair flip, like, maybe the precision is more precise as just Donkey Kong.
It's like a gift and a curse because you rely on it and you get used to it.
Yeah.
But sometimes you think, oh, I can do that, and then because you can save yourself, but you can't.
It allows you to deviate from the perfect path that they have sort of placed for you.
That's what I mean.
It's a marvel to me that these stages are crafted so nicely that they can place the enemies and the platforms in such a way that allows for these perfect jumps, like timing them and spacing them just right. Because it's not just like, oh, everything's static. There's so many moving objects, like. That had to be a mathematical nightmare or a design challenge to get everything to line up right. I mean, as we look at some of the shots of this game, it really is just, it's brilliant. And I love that they have, I thought the collectibles are really well done. Like, the letters are typically platforming type challenges, whereas the puzzle pieces are more banana collecting or secret area type challenges. I thought it was great how they separated the two in a very defined way, so you knew, okay, the Kong letters are going to be visible and just something that you might have to make a little trickier jump, but the puzzle pieces are going to be more hidden, and it sort of allows you to go after what you want. These stages also, the ones with the, whatever you want to call it, the darkened color palette or whatever, are freaking amazing. What do you think of the level variety, the world variety? How did that float your boat?
I thought it was really good, and like even within the worlds, there was a lot of uniqueness in terms of like inside, outside, and then the depth of the level design, like in the background, is crazy good. Even though you don't really focus on it, it just like if you look back there, if like the corner of your eye just catches it, it makes it feel way more immersive because it's not just like a flat wall behind each level.
Yeah, I think it really. It takes your focus away from the fact that this is a 2D game. You're like, it's a 2D side scroller, that feels old. It doesn't feel old, it feels very dynamic, and in a way almost 3D because of the fact that they're spinning the camera around a lot, which I did appreciate, but also, like you mentioned, the depth of the environments is really quite grand, and so it constantly gives eye candy. Eye candy is thrown everywhere on the screen, and so it's not a static experience of moving from left to right and getting to the next screen and having them shift. It's like a very living, breathing world that you just happen to be, moving on this 2D plane, but it never quite feels so simple.
I think also the character animations help with like the 3D effect because they're so smooth and rounded. And
oh yeah, and well, you can just see there like how they have like tree trunks popping in the background or wheels rotating. They basically did everything they could to make you forget that this is a side scroller. tried and true side scroller. You never deviate from that. I mean, actually, you kind of do, I guess, in some of the barrel segments running, towards the screen. Even the minecart, they change perspective, but I mean, just the depth there. There's 5-6 levels of things going on, and the effort and artistry that went into this game is really, I think, marvelous. And people always say, Nintendo is a baby game company. They make games for kids. It's too childish. DK Mario.
Wrong.
You really are wrong, because artistry, consistency, creativity, those are things that are very adult, and people gloss over them because they see these characters that they remember from when they were 5 years old, or that they associate somehow with infancy, and really they're very mature. I think that if you look at this as a artistic composition, not only in the visuals, but also in the mechanics of DK's jumps and the timing and precision of everything, as well as the way that all the characters are able to interact in a functional way that not one of them takes away from the game, and you're able to, use Dixie's hair flip. It definitely seemed like it was almost perfectly planned. Sure, it's a saving move, but there were times where you could skip jumps with either a roll or a hair flip that clearly are part of that pathing that they have, expertly placed. And that's art, and that is mature, and that's adult. And I think that it can't be ignored. And to me, in a side scroller, you have more of that total mastery of a level than in a 3D one, because Mario, you're jumping all over the place. You can develop great runs. I'm talking specifically of 3D World, but it's a little bit more random and a little bit more free-flowing. Here, it's very timing-based and it's very precision-based.
And they did, a nice job. Well, you can tell that in co-op mode, there were sometimes where I could get calling letters because of the way that you had to dip down and then float back up with Dixie's hair or Diddy's jetpack. But then, in single player, you would have that ability still. So it's not like, it's totally different in co-op versus single player. You know what I mean? They allow for the same things. So that's like the mathematical thing, sort of, like you were talking about.
Sure. And I love how they totally allowed for full-on two-player co-op. It wasn't like a half-baked thing. Sure, the minecart's what do you do with that? But it was very, very much both of us playing the game for 85-90% of it, save for those, sort of automatic stages.
I really liked also how that nothing was really gimmicky. Yeah, you could say when you have to pound to make the plants spit out bananas, or the pulling up the plug things, but then later on in the game, the pulling up the plug thing was an essential function to be able to move platforms around and do it.
Point.
So nothing felt like it was 100%, you could just do this and it really wouldn't have any effect on the game. The only thing that I wish they could improve upon is the bonus stages, because after a while it's why do I even do this?
That is the low point, the bonus stages, especially because you get so many banana coins, you can buy lives. It's for a puzzle piece, so I guess there's a purpose, but they're so repetitive and become so simplistic. If we slowed our pace down, we probably could have accomplished all of the bonus stages.
I just wish that that they were just more interesting and intriguing. Because
go back to what they had.
I was more
the Super Nintendo series.
Oh yeah, I just felt more satisfied finding the barrel than actually doing the bonus stage.
Yeah, and I think it's greatly enhanced by the removal of motion controls. I hated shaking it to roll. I hated doing all that, and I love the fact that I can just play on a normal controller here. And again, just the way that they rotated the world here and stuff, I'm not sure how much complexity it added from a coding standpoint, but it definitely added so much complexity to what you saw on screen, and just their refusal to reuse mechanics. Very, very few times did we see hey, there's this again. It was always something new, and even if it was a slight tweak on something from the past, it was a new take on it. The cracking ice platforms versus the spinning platforms in that stage where there's a lot of bombs and boulders falling to spin them, versus raising leaves versus raising lava versus, bouncing flowers, or the ones where you had to attach on and then pound it to spring off of them. So much variety in terms of taking hey, this is a game about running and jumping and grabbing, and what are all the different kinds of jumping and grabbing and running we can do, also incorporating rolling. I would love to see the inclusion of more animal friends. I'd love a few more barrel stages that had some crazy barrel segments. Most of these barrels were automatic firing, or just press A to move forward, not like the ones where it's moving crazy. The games on Super Nintendo had more of those stages where it was barrel insanity, and I would have liked one or two more in this game.
Another interesting thing that I just thought of as I was watching those previews is that the background interacts with the foreground. There was owls blowing the didgeridoos that would raise and lower the leaves, or penguins would throw bombs from the background to the foreground, so it just made it seem more realistic and more like a fully functioning, intertwined world.
Yeah, so much that, again, it totally takes away your feeling like it's a 2D game. Donkey Kong Country Tropical Returns.
Tropical Returns.
Freeze of the Kong family is a fantastic game. I wholeheartedly recommend it for everyone. It's hard. This is not a kid's game in the sense that your kid or a kid is going to breeze through it. It's really difficult. That was one of my favorite moments of the entire game. I would have loved to see more than that. And it kind of makes me excited, like, what could they do with the 3D world? I know that part of this game's perfection is the fact that they had, hey, we have a limit, and so we're going to then...
Look at that. It goes to shadows.
That's really cool, too, the way that it takes the 3D model and shifts it to straight up 2D. But anyways, like, part of the awesomeness is that it is 2D, and so they kind of limit their, tool set, and then are able to just really dump every bit of effort and oomph into that. But I would love to see what they could do in a 3D DK space. Maybe bring back the Kremlings and K. Rool. That would be pretty stellar. But this game is definitely going to go down as one of my favorites, I think, of all time. I'm so glad that it brings glory back to the Donkey Kong name. And I know for a lot of people, Returns did that on Wii. For me, it just didn't strike me as impressively. Here, though, we have, like, one for the record books, I feel like, and this is going to be one of the crown jewels on the Wii U console. And whether the Wii U dies or lives or rebounds or doesn't, it has a boatload of great games, and I hope that more people are willing to check them out. This definitely being one of them. You get your money's worth, and man, what an awesome experience. It was really cool to play a co-op, too. I don't know that I've ever played a game like that in full co-op with you, so that was really fun, Jake, and I'm glad that we were able to do it all the way through together. What a pretty game. I'm sad that it's over, but I'm glad that we got to experience it together. Thank you guys and girls for watching this long review of one of my favorite games of the year, and it's probably going to be, I could easily see this being top 3, so that's a big challenge to Titanfall, Destiny, Infamous, and the works coming out later in the year. Cheese Wheel level. This was really great, too, when it went to total blackness here. Let's see if it shows it for a second. I just want to see it. Nope. Anyways, I never thought the difficulty was unfair, by the way. I know some reviewers thought that it didn't really teach you. I always thought it taught you pretty well. There's one or two moments you're like, holy crap. But I thought it was a pretty fair game that just demanded a lot of your fingertips. Guys and girls, I'm not going to demand any more of your time. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hit that like button if you did. Let us know in the comments below what you think of Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. Till next time, everybody, thanks again for joining us. Stay tuned for more awesome gaming on the Ghost Robo channel. Until that time, though, we'll see you all later.